the end of the summer, they like to get the bids out and get their work lined up for the following year, so they know what their work is going to be the following year. We tried to get our bids out in May or June so we could meet that window. The Board of Selectmen behind you, -1, did not let us go out at that time. So we went out when all the contractors had their work all set up, and we got a $3.2 million. After that meeting, one of the contractors said a different time of the year, we would have been in good shape. The other thing is, Mr. Spring said we had $1,980,500 appropriated for this project, $80,500 coming from the Pajari Fund. He also stated the figures that we used on this project. $588,000 we spent on this project to this point. 80,000 of that, 80,500 was taken out of the Pajari Fund, which is town money. But that is not listed here. You didn't mention the Pajari Fund. What happened to the 80,500? It's not in our account anymore. And if you ask the town coordinator, or you ask anybody, well, the extra money is probably in interest. What happened to the $80,500 that Mr. Wilbur Pajari gave this town to do something good in his name? The other question I have is, that was stated I wanted to clear up, is it was mentioned, where is this money coming from? Believe it or not, you are paying $143,000 right now for what has already been done on this project. If I go out tomorrow, and this was according to the town's bank, Southwest Bank, if I go out tomorrow and borrow $1.5 million, that is only $135,000 a year. You're paying $143 now. If you go with the $135, you're going to tell me, Mr. Spring, that's not a savings? Also, we identified $122,000 of cost to operate all the buildings you have now. The engineering companies estimate, if we stay with the geothermal system for heating, that this building will cost $50 to $55 a year to operate. That's a $60,000 savings. Yes.
Can I talk to you for a minute, please?
What?
If you're going to address anybody, address me, please. Let's not mention anybody else by name or point anybody else. That needs to stop. I told you that before. I think you understood that. I think you're able to understand that, okay? If you deal with me, please. Any comments you have are coming through me.
All right.
Thank you.
The other point is, this building, you're paying for it now. If you go out and finish it with the many people that want to help out, you're going to save this town a lot of money, and you're going to have a long-term solution. We just passed a $600,000 override. Why would our town officials want to throw away $700,000 to $900,000, go over and spend more money on a building that is not going to address your problems? We need to get going on this building, and I hope you vote yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Moderator, I would like to address a comment that was made about the environmental status at 252 Baldenville Road.
Sure, go ahead.
Environmental studies done at 252 Baldenville Road include the following. The first one was an air quality study done inside the building, done by ETA Laboratories. Result, no detectable air contaminants. Number two, a phase 1 environmental site assessment was done by the Environmental Compliance Services, ECS, out of Agawam. Date of the document was July 2010. Result, assessment was performed in compliance with ASTM standard practice E1527-05. Based on the findings of the investigation, no recognized environmental conditions were identified at the site.
Okay, thank you, Virginia.
Well, no, there's more.
Okay. Much more, or just?
No. Generally, if the result of phase 1 is as above with no recognized environmental conditions, No further studies are required. However, at the insistence of some of the town officials, a Phase 2 study was done.
Okay.
The Phase 2 study, although not necessary, was conducted. There were 6 soil borings done and also 5 groundwater monitoring wells. Based on the subsurface investigation, laboratory analytical results for the analytes tested were not reported in concentrations that were above the reportable quantities. Releases do not appear to have occurred in any of the locations investigated, which would be expected to impact the site property. It is the opinion of ECS that current site conditions do not require any notification to the Mass DEP. All of these documents that I've cited are available in the Selectman's office.
Okay. All right, thank you, Virginia. Ma'am, I think I'm going to have you speak next. Mr. Wilder, you have spoken once. I'll let you speak after this lady here, okay?
I'm Joy Tainter from 22 South Main Street, East Templeton. And I think we're being penny wise and pound foolish. We have 2 buildings that we are paying for. We have the East Templeton School that the CPC has money available to fix its roof, which is basically one of the huge problems. And because of a leaky roof, you do have mold problems and other problems with it. But if we can stop paying rent, that's money we're throwing out every single day, and that is just totally foolish. We own 252 Baldwinville Road. We're paying for it. We also own the East Templeton School. We're a growing town. We cannot get rid of all of our properties. We should be developing them, and so that we won't be the ridicule of the state as being the only place. No, there's one other. There's 2 of us that do not have town halls. We're pretty much the laughing stock. But if we can get the East Templeton School, the roof fixed right away, and the furnace, and I understand that that can be done in a quick fix, put the town offices in there temporarily.
Okay. Corey, I'm going to stop you at that point. The next article is about the East Templeton School. If you want to talk about the East Templeton School, we'll talk about it in the next article.
Well, I'd like to combine the 2 of them together and say, let's stop spending money for rent. Let's get this going, and we need both. And don't sell our
I won't
town
argue
down.
that point with you.
Thank you.
Okay? Now, Mr. Wilder, if you want to hold on one more minute. Mr. Wilder? Julie, go ahead. She hadn't spoken yet. Then I'll let you back up, Mr. Wilder.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I would like people to remember that this building was purchased without a building inspection or an appraisal. So when we purchased this building as a town, on the basis of an email correspondence from our town council at the time, which was Koppelman and Page, and signed off by 3 selectmen, it was done without a building inspection or an appraisal. This building on 252 Baldwinville Road is commercial industrial. To make it into town offices, it's a change of use, which means that the costs are much higher to change the use and the purpose of that building for town offices to be occupied by people. And that's why the costs, I didn't do that one. Okay, and that's why the costs are very high for that building. I'm very concerned about the funding for this building. We're currently paying off a loan for the money that was already spent and put into the building. Over $700,000 is being paid off. It'll be finally paid off in FY18. It's 5 years from now. Our town is currently carrying way too much debt. We need to figure this out and have a plan. I don't believe that this is the appropriate spot for a town hall. I don't believe we should be putting any more money, taxpayers' money, into this project. I don't know where the 1.9 million is going to come from, or the 1.2, based on estimates. You still have to pay prevailing wage to do certain parts of this project. We found this out with the senior center project. You can cut down and you can use volunteer, but there are some aspects of the project that you do have to pay prevailing wage, and that costs a lot of money. at this point, I would advise people to vote no on this article.
Mike Dixon, Temple and Center. I just wanted to address something I've heard several times. We keep talking about CPC money, CPC money, CPC money, but I don't know where that thinking is coming from. The last time CPC money was requested for this building at the annual town meeting, May 14th, 2013, they requested $250,000 of CPC money to be spent on that. At that meeting, there was no stomach for that expenditure amongst the voters. As a matter of fact, by about a 2-to-1 margin, they voted to table that question.
He's talking about
So again, we don't know what we're doing. But at any rate, at that meeting, we voted no to the CPC money. So why is there a thinking that all of a sudden we're going to be able to spend CPC money to work on East Templeton building when it was voted down in August? So at a minimum, you'll have to come back to town meeting and seek that money, but by the 2-to-1 margin, it was voted down the last time. So that's my only point.
Okay, thanks a lot, Mike. Okay, Dennis.
Dennis O'Brien, 259 Baldwin Road. I have a problem because you're saying that we're paying for that $700,000 now, what, $143,000 a year? Is that what we said? We're
No, I
paying?
didn't.
How much are we paying for that $700,000?
On a
153?
yearly basis,
Yeah.
we are paying roughly $140,000 plus $15,000 worth of interest, which is part of the overall debt of $808,000.
Okay, my question is, you're paying that now, you could get this building for $135,000 a year, so you'd be paying less money than you are right now once the building is done, the loan, if you borrow the money. So you're gonna be paying less money when it's done, and you're paying right now for that $700,000 you have.
Okay, Mr. O'Brien, thank you. Okay, Mr. Wilder, you're back up. Briefly.
Ken Wilder, 44 Schoolhouse Road. And again, we would be saving money by going with this building.
Thank
The
you.
other thing that I noticed is the bid notice in the Gardner News. As it stands now, they can refuse or accept any bid. If somebody bids $1 and these people want to accept that bid, there goes your building for $1.
Thank you. Virginia?
One more thing, Mr. Moderator.
Yeah.
Actually,
We'll worry about that later. I ain't worried about it now. Yes, go ahead then.
Yeah.
Dana.
Mr. Moderator, my question through you to whoever can answer the question is, right now, we're paying that $700,000 off out of our operating budget because our taxes never went up to pay this money off every month. There was no appropriation at a town meeting or to raise taxes to pay this money off. So right now, my thing is, it'll be get paid off the same way they're paying the $700,000 off. Your taxes aren't going to go up. Another thing I want to ask, what did the town use for collateral to borrow the money? Now, if there's a bond on this loan for collateral, is the bank going to let you sell this building for less than what's owed on it?
I have no idea.
Well, does somebody up there know? Treasurer, clerk,
I
somebody?
don't know.
Well, someone must be able to answer what they use for collateral. Is the building up for collateral from the loan? And my question is the bank going to let you sell it for less than what the collateral, what you owe on it?
I don't know. Yeah, go ahead, Gordon.
Gordon Moore, 15 North Main, a member of the advisory board. You know, we've been spending a lot of time talking about this building and that building. The article's about one building. It's about the building on Baldwinville Road. Do we want to tie our hands to one building? This isn't setting up a committee to look at the town as a whole, all our needs. We have a committee that we had for the town hall. We've had committees for the school. I've heard talk about a police station in need. Why do we keep talking about one thing at a time instead of getting a full plan together, looking at all the area needs? When we get an elementary school built, there are going to be more buildings available. Do we want to tie our hands to this one? Do we want to consider others down the road? But this motion ties us to just one option. And it's because it ties us to just that one option that I recommend a no vote.
Thank you. Jerry, could I have him speak first, since he's not had a chance to speak, if you don't mind, please?
Hello, I'm Ray Vortilla, Hubbardston Road. Mr. Moderator, I'd like to have you move the question.
Say that again now. What's not what?
Somebody got smart.
At this point in time, we have a motion on the floor to move the question, which I heard was seconded. Okay? All those in favor of moving the question, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay, the motion to move the question passes at 8:21. We will now vote on the motion. Okay, all those in favor of Article number 6, please signify by saying aye. All opposed? No. Your noes have it at, did you have 7 stand in place? I can go to a hand count. If you don't have 7 stand in place, I'm not doing anything. Don't? Yes, go ahead, Peter. I'm sorry if it's Article 5. Thank you for correcting me, Peter. All right, again, stand. All right, we will have a hand count. Would my tellers please come down? I will tell you in 1 moment, please.
I understand that.
No. Okay. She was, I didn't even.
All those in favor, who favor Article number 5, please raise your right hand. All those in favor of it. John, could I have that count, please? On the left, we have 17 in favor. In the center, there are I'll take that sheet of paper after, John. 32 in favor. On the right, there are 37 in favor, and on the stage, there were none. All those opposed to Article 5, please raise your right hands. They're being counted by the counters on the right-hand side. They have already been asked to do that. Thank you. Yeah, go ahead, put your hands down. Okay. On the left, there are 26 noes. On the right, there are 30 noes. In the center, there are 80 noes. The motion is defeated 143 to 86 at 8:26 p.m. Article 6, please. Article 6, please.
Mr. Moderator, Article 6, to see if the town will vote to direct the Board of Selectmen to declare surplus if necessary, subsequently sell the real estate, land and buildings located at 160 Patriots Road in East Templeton, Mass., Assessors Map 1-2-1, Parcel 19, Book number 2283, and page number 438, formerly known as East Templeton Elementary School, and further direct the Board of Selectmen to discontinue any expenditure of town monies on said properties except for insurance, appraisal, and sale process, winterization to drain pipes, making the heating of the building necessary, and to leave electricity on to accommodate the occasional need for the dehumidifier to run preservation of the building. All other expenditures have to be made on an emergency basis only.
Is there a second to this motion? Okay. Go ahead, Mr. Columbus, if you want to, advisory board, go ahead.
Mr. Moderator, we had a large discussion on this. The board in this discussion concluded that the building was a town asset, which could be used by the town in many ways, and the town should explore what it wants to do with the building. This motion basically says that we should not put any maintenance if it passes. If that's done, we'll have further leaks for the building, which at some particular point, this building will become a liability because of the structural damage that will be caused by leaks. It presently doesn't have a roof leak. We also looked at costs for CPC, et cetera, which really didn't play much when we actually reviewed this thing. Because one of the things that we did look at, and more important, was the fact that the building is zoned in a village district and limits the use that this building can be sold for. The fact that the selectmen have formed a building committee to look at town buildings played a major role for the board making its recommendation, not on finances, not on moving in, to see if the building as a town office, which has more potential use for the town, could be utilized without looking for land or spending some additional money. That's what we looked at. In making that conclusion, the advisory board unanimously recommends a vote of no.
Okay. Paul?
Mr. Moderator,
Yes, sir.
my name is Paul Quattrochi. I live at 2 Military Drive in Templeton. Yeah, I still live there. Tonight, we talked about two buildings. Now, I don't know a thing about 252. I've never seen the building except from the outside. But I do know a little bit about East Templeton. Because for many years, we've been looking at that building. It is not a fit building for town offices. It's a very old building. If that building is so good, why did the school close it? Now, the only thing good about East Templeton School is the land it's on. And if you're going to put a town office there, then take down that building and put in some modular buildings in there for town offices. We wouldn't have to buy the land. We'd already have it. I say, don't sell it, keep it, but let's make use of it other than what is being proposed now. If we have to put money in it now, it's going to cost us more than the 252 everybody's talking about. I don't know about 252, but as sure as I'm standing here, I can tell you East Templeton will cost us a lot of money, and it won't be a sufficient building. If we want to use East Templeton, fine. Keep the land, tear the building down, and put up a new structure. That will last us maybe another 80 years. Thank you.
Thank you. Did you want to? Okay, Peter?
P. Farrell, 24 Myrtle Street. I disagree with Mr. Quattrochi. I think that the East Templeton is probably one of the nicest sections of our town now. I think with Crossroads and the nice work that Mr. Roy has done and everybody else over there, it's maybe the hub. I think East Templeton, I look at it, to me, I see a beautiful building. I see a building that can be reconstructed. There's not much wrong with it. And whether it be a town offices or whatever, I certainly would not put this building up. I would vote no on Article 6.
Thank you, Mr. Nope. Do I need to read the whole thing or just that section? The whole thing? Thanks, Matt. Picking that up.
We're gonna have a brief moment here, and we're going to have to reword this motion a little bit, and I'll explain it to you in a few moments, please. Thank you. Yeah, I know the ball game's on, so just kind of chill out a little, okay?
One thing we can all agree on, right? The Red Sox. Yes, it is.
All right, what's going on here, okay? We're gonna be making a motion, okay, that's gonna request the selectmen, okay, declare it surplus if necessary, that's all our support. And request that the Board of Selectmen no longer discontinue any expenditure, that's all.
Okay. Yeah.
I can read it.
You want? Yeah. Yeah, you know it, yeah.
I know. Ken Coleman standing by. Where's the Red Sox? Real nice guy. Yeah. Didn't have as many next year. Yeah.
There were a couple of words in the motion that actually would have made the motion illegal, okay? At town council's recommendation, we have substituted a couple words. I have discussed it with the main motion reader, Mr. Columbus. Mr. Columbus doesn't have any arguments with this, and so whoever seconded this motion, if I would appreciate if they would follow through when I read it again, if they would, agree to that same second, and then we'll get back to the discussion. Okay? Now let me read the motion, please. Move that the selectmen be authorized to declare surplus if necessary and subsequently sell the real estate land and building located at 160 Patriots Road in East Templeton, Mass., Assessors Map 1-2-1, Parcel 19, Book Number 2283, and page 438, and formerly known as the East Templeton Elementary School, and further to request the Board of Selectmen to discontinue any expenditure of town monies on said property except for insurance appraisal and sales purposes, winterization to drain pipes, making heating of the building unnecessary, and to leave electricity on to accommodate the occasional need for the dehumidifier to run for preservation of the building. All other expenditures are to be made on an emergency basis only. Is that agreeable with you, Mr. Columbus? And the second, is that agreeable with the second? Okay? All set? We're going to go on with the discussion now then. Okay, go ahead, Mr. Columbus.
Hey, thank you, Mr. Moderator. Bob Columbus, 17 Main Street, Otter River. I just want to make it be known that as far as the 3 elementary school buildings, when the school in town first started looking at new elementary school, the then superintendent of schools formed a committee, two committees, half from the school committee and half from the Board of Selectmen. One committee was assigned to assess the present conditions of those three buildings. And out of the three buildings, the East Upland School was in the worst shape. And then the other committee was to see what would be the, moving forward, which buildings would be best suited to use in the future. And I just want to reiterate what a previous speaker said, that town meeting twice have voted down money to put money into this building, and I urge a yes vote on this article. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am, go ahead. I'll get with you in a moment, Bob.
Thank you. Joy Tainter, East Templeton. The CPC funds, no one seems to understand what it is. It's for conservation and preservation for property or buildings in town. Now, the East Templeton School needs to be preserved, and we have that money, and that money is also matched by the state. We've been able to buy different pieces of land, put them into conservation. The Dwelly Farm was one of them. I don't even remember the name of it, but it's down on the Dudley Road, the place that they wanted to put in another 75 houses. That's been under conservation. It has been used, it was purchased with CPC funds, which are matching funds from the state. Because we are such a small community, the state generally matches us 100%. That as the towns get going with this CPC funds, we may not get 100%, but now we are. But I also wanted to say that East Templeton School needs a new roof to be preserved. We do not need to get rid of any old buildings. Our house is older than this school. Our son-in-law and daughter's house is the original Stagecoach in hotel in town, and it's older than our house. So even just because it's old, it doesn't mean that it isn't any good. It hasn't been taken care of well. That is the problem. And the mold problem, which is being generated mainly by the leaky roof, but also the wetlands. East Templeton, in this town, you either have wetlands or you have gravel banks. East Templeton is a wetland. But to turn down the CPC funds is silly. We've already paid it. We can't get it back. We cannot use it for anything other than conservation and preservation.
All right.
And so let's do it.
Thank you, dear. Fine. Mr. Mitchell, go ahead.
Bob Mitchell, 326 Royalston Road. I'm hoping that people will vote not to pass this. There is no point in letting any building that we own in town deteriorate. There's no point if you're going to try and sell the building to not spend money to fix up the building. There's no point in letting the building fall down so you can't use it at all. As far as I see it, I said it in the paper 2 weeks ago on Friday, this is nothing, but if I can't get mine, you can't have yours, and so let's not let East Templeton be considered as a town building. So I think it's time that we just put this to rest and say, no, we're going to preserve what we have. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Farrell, you are next, and then after her will be Mrs. Wilder.
I would like people to consider voting no on this. The Board of Selectmen recently created a town building assessment committee, and that's a committee to look at all town buildings in the town of Templeton and make an assessment. When the open house was at East Templeton last Saturday, people were like, why is there no plan? How come there's no plan? There's been no plan because we have not been authorized to do anything with that building. I would ask that you vote no on this article. I would ask that you allow the Town Building Assessment Committee to look at the building and come back with some ideas if it is feasible to do anything with the building and what our options are. So I would ask you to vote no on this article. On another point, the building was turned over June 30th, 2011. This was not on the radar when 252 was purchased. They're two different issues.
Ms. Wilder, go ahead.
Just a couple of very short things. First of all, I have the assessor's deed abstract in front of me. That property, according to the assessor, is worth $920,000. Why would we not want to sell that and significantly increase our income status? That, to me, doesn't make any sense. But the other thing is, people need to understand how big of a mold problem they have in there. I've seen pictures of the mold that they're painting over continuously. And people need to understand that it has a significant mold problem. It's not something that's going to go away by itself. The other thing about the preservation money is that 5 years down the road, when we move out of the old elementary schools and they decide that now we want to have a place that fits all of the town offices, they might think that Templeton Center might be a good place to go. The problem with that is once you take the conservation money, you move out of it afterwards, it has to be paid back. I've talked to 3 people from that committee and they all say the same thing. So you need to think about that.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Wilder. We appreciate that. Mr. Case, you have something you want to say?
Yeah. Could we move the question?
Is there a second to that? There's been a motion made and seconded to move the question. All those in favor of moving the question, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Okay, we're now going to take a vote on Article number 6. All those in favor, and this is a 2/3 vote, by the way, okay? Because, okay, all those in favor of Article 6, please signify by saying aye. All those opposed? No. Okay, it passes by 2/3. Having been defeated. It's been defeated. Thank you. The motion's been defeated. Thank you.
Mr. Moderator,
Mr.
a motion to adjourn, please.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor? Opposed? Okay, the motion was at 9:46 and the adjournment is at 9:47.